Welcome to Anchored Not Anxious. This is where you discover anchoring practices for anxiety and worry, gain a deep trust in God, and develop an internal peace by living off His Word. I'm Terry Hutchinson, your host. For most of my life, intolerance of uncertainty has played with my mind and emotions. Intolerance of uncertainty is defined as someone who perceives the high chance of future negative or unknown outcomes. The threat may be a prediction or prompted by an actual event. Intolerance of uncertainty can be part of having a generalized anxiety disorder. For others, a triggering event is the activator. If you have moderate anxiety, consistent stressors can propel you toward IU. In my situation, IU gets triggered. Here's what it looks like for me. One evening, my husband and I went to dinner with friends. As we ate, my husband's friend looked at me and said, "Be safe out there. I read 5 people died on I-26. One was an 8-year-old boy. Read it in the newspaper. You be careful." That night, as I laid in bed awaiting sleep, my friend's thoughtfulness touched me. He knew I drove 1 hour to and from work every day on I-26, a busy and dangerous stretch of highway. But the story of the death on the highway got my mind revved up. Why didn't God protect them from dying, especially the child? What caused the collisions? Am I able to avoid these? I've seen flipped cars, semis and trees, 5-car pileups. What if that happens to me? When's it my turn? God, will you continue to watch over me? I don't want to die. My cascade of thoughts began with the deaths on I-26 and ended with my prediction or declaration, I don't want to die. If any of you have years of traveling the highway, you've driven by or witnessed all kinds of car and truck incidents. Maybe you wondered, what triggered that? How did it happen? Perhaps you contemplated, boy, I sure hope I can avoid that. The answer to that would require hundreds of scenarios to prep for, something no one can do or control for. But with intolerance of uncertainty, it prompts you to try. And that's what was happening to me. It was ridiculously overwhelming. Anxiety rose, and not just anxiety. This is when fear gets a foothold. Here's why. I am doubting God's care of me. I'm failing to dwell on what I know for certain. Capital letters there. Certain life events create vulnerability, and so it's fertile ground for anxiety and IU. Situations like traumatic events, the loss of a home to a flood or tornado, food, safety, or financial insecurity, blindsided by a layoff or termination. Maybe you're getting anxious about your retirement funds as you see market fluctuations. As a research nurse, I've investigated the articles on intolerance of uncertainty. A great tool is titled the Intolerance of Uncertainty Scale, short form. There are 12 statements, and you score how little or how much you agree with each statement. When you finish, a brief analysis is given of how you fall on the uncertainty scale. I took the quiz, and you'll find the link in the show notes. I have also researched the advice out there using gratitude, coaching myself through IU, breath practice, and so on. These are good for sure, but the practice I find greatly beneficial is to catch myself entering an uncertainty thought cascade. The key signs are speculation, which is supposing or guessing, what ifing, and prediction. That's to declare in advance. So speculation is considering the unknown outcomes and determining how to control for it. I did this when I started asking the questions, why didn't God protect them from death, especially the child? Will God continue to watch over me? When's it my turn? Can I keep this from happening to me? After speculation, then comes what ifing. What ifing is asking what if questions assuming a negative outcome. My what if statement was, I've seen flipped cars, semis in trees, 5-car pileups. What if this happens to me? What ifing is followed by prediction. Prediction is thinking what happened to them could or will happen to me. My statement, I don't want to die, was a roundabout way of saying, I believe I could die on that highway. Now, recognizing your uncertainty thought cascade in process gives you the ability to divert to a truth and trust path. We have to cut the feed activating uncertainty. In my example, a truth path looks like this. Truth. No one is promised tomorrow. Truth. Drive smart, be attentive, eliminate drive pride. Truth. Getting tangled in worst-case scenarios is not the path to peace. Truth. I'm forgetting the truths that keep me anchored to God. Now, let's say the situation is a job loss. Potential truths could be, I'm not alone. There are resources for me. I can seek out a mentor, pastor, friend, community center, or family for guidance. God will not abandon me. In any situation, there is truth. You may have to dig to unearth it, but it exists. And truth guards you against uncontrolled thoughts and predictions of doom and gloom. Find the truths of your situation, and then you move on to the trust path. Root yourself in trust. Cry out to God with your concern. Ask Him to strengthen and stabilize your belief He cares for you. Center your thoughts on what you know for certain and claim your trust with words. Trust. God is for me, not against me. Trust. I recognize what I cannot control and I pass this to God. Trust. I can trust God with those things. Trust. I am a woman who believes I am saved by Jesus' death and resurrection. I am saved and bound for life in His presence. Remember, you are not a victim of your mind and emotions. And if you know your intolerance of uncertainty negatively impacts your life, it is key to talk to your healthcare provider or use an employee assistance program offered by your employer. Get with a licensed counselor. You deserve to live your best life. God does not want you, me, anyone living fearful or with uncertainty. Hope is our anchor. Embed your hope in God, a firm foundation. Thank you so much for listening. Now don't forget to look for the link to the Intolerance of Uncertainty quiz in the show notes. It will be at the top. And you'll also find a link to receive my care letter. I'd love to drop into your life once a month to fill your cup with positive words. Until next time.